You are watching New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. And in today's episode, we have new reports surrounding Donovan Mitchell from Andy Larsen, a local beat reporter for the Jazz, and Tony Jones, who covers the Utah Jazz for The Athletic. Tony Jones, he went on ESPN radio last night, and he had some things to say that I think is all newsworthy and noteworthy for New York Knicks fans. He said the Knicks and the Utah Jazz are in a holding pattern. And we kind of have known that at some point. But that's not the main thing he said. He said the Knicks are reluctant to offer unprotected picks in a trade for Donovan Mitchell. And that kind of upset me a little bit. Because if you're not willing to make your picks unprotected, I think that kind of tells you what the Knicks think of Donovan Mitchell. Tony Jones said it's not the number of picks that's concerning. It's the fact that they're reluctant to give up protected picks. These were the 5 biggest bullet points that I took away from his interview on ESPN radio. He said they're in a holding pattern. I thought this was also important. He said the Knicks want to trade more than one bad contract to the Utah Jazz in a Donovan Mitchell deal. And I started to think about that a little bit. The Knicks only have 2 bad contracts, Evan Fournier and Julius Randle. And we know that the Jazz do not want Julius Randle. So maybe the Knicks are waiting for a third team to emerge. Maybe it's the Los Angeles Lakers that are willing to take Julius Randle. But I thought it was noteworthy that he said from his inside sources that the Knicks want to trade 2 bad contracts away in a Donovan Mitchell trade. He also said he thinks the deal happens closer to September. And that's kind of what we've echoed on this show a little bit. Right now, most league executives are offline. They're on vacation. This is the spot in the calendar where a lot of front office people in the NBA go on vacation. September, that's when training camp starts. And he said that is when the deal will start to heat up. He also said the deal was never close to being done. So we've seen the reports on Twitter that they were in the 90 to 95% completion stage. We heard from the Utah radio host saying that a deal was done and it was going to be announced. So it sounds like none of that was actually factual. We'll wait until Woj, Shams, or you get that notification from Knicks Now. But he also said the Knicks are still the most logical destination because Danny Ainge, he wants picks in a Donovan Mitchell trade. And he, you, and I know nobody can offer more first-round picks for Donovan Mitchell than the New York Knicks. I want you guys to rub your crystal ball right now and predict the future. Will Donovan Mitchell be traded to the Knicks? Do you think at some point it will happen? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I want you guys to predict the future. Let me know what you think right now. I also am asking you guys, as a New York Knicks fan, to help me out. Here at Chat Sports, we have multiple NBA channels. The one that's closest to us in subscribers is Boston Celtics Today. And as a New Yorker, having that blood run through my veins, it is in my DNA to hate Boston. And I hate the Boston Celtics, and I want to pass them up in subscribers as soon as possible. So if you love the Knicks, you hate the Celtics, and you love the content we're pushing out, or if you just want free daily videos around the latest Knicks news and rumors, hit that big red button. Help us catch Boston Celtics Today. We are 550 subs away. I think we can get there as soon as possible. Lock us in. Hit that big red button. Knicks videos every single day. I thought Tony Jones was pretty candid and very upfront during that interview. He said Mitchell doesn't want to be around. I think that is super noteworthy, and no one is really talking about it. He is one of the most tapped-in beat reporters for the Utah Jazz, works for The Athletic. And for him to say Mitchell doesn't want to be around is newsworthy. Has he requested a trade? Not publicly, but would I be surprised if Donovan Mitchell has gone behind closed doors and said, yo, Danny, trade me. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be a part of a rebuild. I think that might have actually happened. And for Tony Jones to say that Mitchell doesn't want to be here, I think that means this could start to heat up pretty damn quickly. Andy Larsen, who also covers the Utah Jazz, he put out a piece a couple of days ago, and he said the overwhelming feeling among league insiders is that Donovan Mitchell is likely to sign a contract outside of Utah at the first available opportunity in 2025 when he's a free agent. So if you're Danny Ainge, and you know that your superstar is going to be out in 2 to 3 years, trade him. Get what you can get. Donovan Mitchell has not requested a trade. The Jazz are rebuilding. This is what Danny Ainge does. Go back to when he was the general manager for the Boston Celtics. When he hired a new coach, what did they do? They traded Paul Pierce. They traded Kevin Garnett. And one of the biggest heists in NBA history that landed the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And he's trying to redo that and recreate that magic with the Utah Jazz. He already traded Rudy Gobert, step number 1, for 5-6 first-round picks. Now he is trying to trade Donovan Mitchell for a same type of King's ransom in a trade. I also think everyone knows this. Donovan Mitchell wants to be a Knick. He has been too, is the word coy or forward? I don't really know. On social media, though, he's making hints and taking little jabs, saying that he wants to be a Knick. He's going to Mets games. He is a Mets fan. His dad works for the Mets. But he's been hanging out with Emmanuel Quickly. He's been sending jabs on Twitter, his likes on Twitter. But this today, I felt like was the straw that broke the camel's back. He posted a video, it was a display, him dunking the rock at Madison Square Garden, and the announcer in that video, which Donovan Mitchell heard 100% before he shared the clip, the announcer said, Donovan Mitchell on the big stage in New York. You're telling me Donovan Mitchell just shared that to share it? Like today was the day he was going to post that clip. No. He knows what he's doing. He's a smart guy. He's a calculated thinker. He could have muted the audio, but he did not. Mitchell threw down a dunk in Madison Square Garden, and the background voice was Donovan Mitchell on the big stage in New York. Go check his Instagram out. It's still up there. Click on his story. It's still there. He's not hiding the fact that he wants to be a Knick. He does. He's got ties with Leon Rose. He's got ties to the area. He wants to wear the blue and orange and play in the mecca of basketball. And if you want Donovan Mitchell to be a New York Knick, I want everyone to light the comment section up right now and type 45 in the comments. All you got to do. If you want Donovan Mitchell on the New York Knicks, type 45 in the comment section right now. I want to see this chat littered with 45s because we are at the point where we know everyone wants Mitchell. He makes the Knicks a better team. He's a great player. We haven't had a guard like that since. Exactly. Type 45 if you want Donovan Mitchell on the Knicks. You can also bet on the most likely landing spot for Donovan Mitchell. Do it with our proud sportsbook partner, BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code chat125. When you do those things, go to chatsports.com/bet. Deposit $100 into your account. They will match that with a 125% deposit bonus. So you'll have 225 bones in your account to bet with. You can bet on the Knicks. You can bet on Donovan Mitchell's next team. You can bet on the Giants. You can bet on the Jets. Whatever you want to do it with our proud sportsbook partner, BetUS, chatsports.com/bet. Just make sure you use the promo code chat125. I had a couple Knicks fans hit me up the past couple of days, and they asked me, should the Knicks be in a rush to trade for Donovan Mitchell? And I thought it was an interesting question, and I kind of thought about it for a little bit. And I came away with the idea that I don't think the Knicks should be in a rush. Because, as I believe, and if you're a loyal viewer of the show, you know that I believe the New York Knicks have the leverage here. We'll detail that in a second. But I thought this quote from Tony Jones kind of shows you why. He says, the two sides just aren't close at this point. They haven't been close. It's just one of those things where once there is a little more urgency, the urgency of training camp looming, the urgency of the season looms, then I think that conversations will get a little more serious. There's no reason for Leon Rose to rush this because we have what they want. They have what we want. Nobody can outbid us. Nobody can put a better trade package in than the New York Knicks can. And I truly believe it in my heart of hearts that the New York Knicks have all of the leverage. And I have 5 reasons for that. Donovan Mitchell did not request a trade publicly. The Utah Jazz, after they traded Rudy Gobert, let's remember, they said we didn't want to trade Rudy Gobert. Then they traded him. They said we don't want to trade Donovan Mitchell. I called cap on this show. You guys saw it. Then we saw that they wanted to trade Donovan Mitchell. They are rebuilding. He did not request a trade. And if you're telling your superstar, we're willing to trade you. What do you think he thinks about that? Do you think he's happy? No, because it tells him that the Utah Jazz don't value him enough to be a cornerstone piece in a rebuild. The Jazz are tanking. They're showing us we need to believe what they do instead of what they tell us. They may tell us they're not tanking, but they are. You just traded the Defensive Player of the Year and arguably one of the best top 5 centers in the NBA for no immediate difference makers. And the Jazz, their best assets, even though they got all those picks from the Minnesota Timberwolves, their best assets are their own first-round picks. And you know how you make those first-round picks better? By trading away Donovan Mitchell. Because if Donovan Mitchell's not on this team, the Utah Jazz will be one of the worst teams in the NBA. And that's what they want. They want to lose, they want to tank, and they want to up the odds for that pick to be a number 1 pick in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. They also have a new head coach, a guy that's never coached in the NBA before. And you're telling me in his first training camp, he's going to have to deal with a toxic situation of Donovan Mitchell trade rumors where Mitchell knows he doesn't want to be there, and now Mitchell doesn't want to be there, according to Tony Jones? That doesn't sound like an opportune time for a brand new head coach. And it comes back to this. The Knicks have what the Jazz want. The Knicks, they have picks. They have young players and expiring deals. That's what the Jazz have. Want. The Jazz have Donovan Mitchell. That's what the Knicks want. That's why I believe the Knicks have all of the leverage in this situation. We'll wrap up this segment, though, with this question. I've been putting a lot of trade ideas out there, and you guys always say, yo, you're stupid. Too many picks, too many that, too many this. That's cool. I value all your guys' opinions. But what is your Donovan Mitchell trade idea? Comment it down below, and the best ones that I see, we'll put up on screen in a future Knicks Now.